Sia and welcome back to another video. So today we're back here for another speed build, and today we're going to go ahead and create this one called MEADOW Residence. So if you'd like to go ahead and download this for yourself, it is up on the gallery now. My origin ID is Real Thomas TV1, and there should be a link down below in the description to the online version of the gallery of this build if that's an easier way for you to get this build. And yes, so this build here has 4 bedrooms, 2 of which have double beds, and there's also 2 rooms which have just 1 bed in it, like a single bed. So I don't really do those too often actually, because as you probably know, I don't really do kids rooms. I keep things very simple in my builds. I don't do clutter either. Well, if this is the first video you're watching mine, that probably doesn't sound like I'm selling my videos very well, but what I do is that I don't really play the game that often, so I have really no purpose to use my own builds. I just build them to put up on the gallery for you to download. So by me not doing kids rooms and keeping, you know, rooms fairly neutral in terms of colour schemes, means that you could have like 2 totally different sim families, but they could both use the same house, if that makes sense, and then you can kind of go in and change colour swatches up if you want to match those Sims personalities and things. And yeah, so well, that kind of leads me back onto what I was saying about these 2 single rooms. The floor plan kind of just worked out to that these 2 other rooms that I couldn't fit double beds in, so there is 2 rooms with single beds in. They don't have kids toys in them, but I kind of think that it could be for teens. But you know, you could even use it for a kid if you wanted to, or you could even just swap it out for like a toddler bed, or even just put kids toys in it or something if you need to as well, and that's totally fine. And yeah, so right now we're just going around doing the exterior of the build here. This build literally took me like an hour and a little bit, not really that long at all. And also this build as well has a study, a laundry room, a gym, and it also has a nice big backyard area too with a nice pool and some seating areas. It has a gazebo too with like another outdoor seating area and barbecue and stuff. And it also has a greenhouse as well. So there's lots of stuff here for your families to do. And the living room as well is actually pretty big too, so lots of space. And I kind of made the living room into 2 like separate sections, I guess you could call it. So there's like the fireplace with its own seating area, and then there's a TV with its own seating area as well. So I'll show you that a little bit later though. And yeah, so we're just working again on the exterior, doing this little gazebo area. I can't exactly remember what I put in here, because I did this a few days ago. This is always the case when it comes to the voiceovers for my builds, is I cannot remember really a thing about it, because even though it was only a couple of days ago, I build like so much that everything kind of just blends into one. So I kind of just forget a lot about my builds until like I'm actually seeing it happen on the screen. So like I told you the bedroom number at the start, that's only because I'm looking at the screenshots. If it wasn't for those screenshots, I would just have to kind of like guess, I suppose, and actually see it once I see it on the preview screen here of the speed build. Anyway, so this is the little greenhouse thing I was on about. It is very small, but there is space around it though to kind of expand it if you needed to. It was kind of just a space filler really. I wasn't really too sure what to do, so I just thought that would be a good thing to put there. And I just think I put like 2 of those little planter boxes from base game in there too. I think I just put 2 in. So if you need to kind of, you know, change it up, maybe make it a bit bigger, change the order around of things, that's totally fine. And yeah, so the back, sorry, not the back, the front here, we've got 2 garages, and they are actually pretty big. Well, the garages themselves aren't, but on the outside it kind of takes up a big portion of the front of the build, I suppose. And I was actually going to do a bit of terrain editing here, so I didn't have to use the roof things there, but it just didn't really work out really for what I had in mind for the build. You know, lots of different factors kind of making me just do that roof thing. Nothing wrong with it though, it's just that, you know, most people now actually just edit the terrain instead of putting the roof down for the ramp. But you know, I think it still looks okay. And you know, it isn't practical anyway. Even if it was with terrain edited to the garage, or if it's just with the roof, it's still going to be the same practicality of absolutely 0. So I suppose it doesn't matter. Anyway, so now we're just going around doing a bit of landscaping and stuff and putting some planter boxes down. I always use these Get Famous ones now for the window boxes. I just absolutely love them. It's just nice and simple, and it has a nice white kind kind of border. And the other thing as well is that those planter boxes have lots of different colour swatches, so you know, depending on what type of build it is, they kind of fit with most things. Now when I'm doing like base game builds and stuff, I do go back to those ones. I think they're called like neighbourly window boxes, but I actually normally overlap the two base game ones to have like the one that doesn't really have any flowers on it, it's just like green, I put that on the bottom, and then the neighbourly window box, I think it's called, with the like flowers on it, has like 4 different colour swatches. I overlap with those and put them like in the middle of it. And it kind of just adds a little bit more decoration, I suppose. And yeah, so right now working back on the interior. I think we did a little bit of the interior before, if I'm not mistaken. I can't exactly remember. I go all over the place with my builds these days. As I've said, I'm not going to kind of repeat myself, but just to kind of keep things interesting for the speed build. So it's not the same thing, like the same order that I do everything in. I just do everything like just so randomly. So we're just working on the kitchen here, and I have noticed recently that I have been doing a lot of the same kitchens, and I feel like it's something that a lot of us are kind of having at the minute, is because we've just got no new kitchen stuff in a while, so it is getting a little bit boring in terms of kitchens. But I haven't used these ones from Cool Kitchen stuff in a long time actually, so I went ahead and used those today as just a little bit of a, you know, just to switch things up. And I always tend to go for the lighter colour counters too, so that's just a little bit of a different thing there. And the only thing is with those counters from Cool Kitchen stuff is that the cabinets on top of them, like on the above, when you go ahead and put like the range hood thing for the oven, it's like it's glass, so you see it go through the cabinet, which is really frustrating. But I managed to kind of sort of just put it in a little bit, but not, you know, just to kind of make it look okay. But I don't really tend to go for those, but you know, I'll just switch it up for a little bit today. And yeah, so we're just working on a little another seating area here outside, just to kind of, you know, fill up the space a little bit. And also as well, these kind of outdoor lights, but the ones that are on like the street lamp poles, I guess you could call them. I can't really think of the word. I don't really use those too often. Well, never really. I don't think I've ever used them. Those ones are from Cats and Dogs. We've actually got quite a lot of them in game. I feel like the first time I've ever used it, well, not that particular one, but one of a similar style, on like a pole, I think was in a couple of weeks ago when I did that build battle with Miss Griffey. I feel like that's the only time I've used one of those lights. And I mean, I don't know why I'm going on about it so much. It's not really anything special about it, but they are kind of nice actually. And I always tend to not put outdoor lights on my builds. Like, I know a lot of people get those like little pool lights and put them inside the landscaping and stuff. I used to do that, but I don't really tend to do it anymore. But I do go ahead and put like lights on the porches and stuff like that. But those, you know, exterior lights are kind of nice too, so I might use those a little bit more. And yeah, so also as well, you can see that we're using a lot of Cats and Dogs items today. Again with like the windows and stuff. I'm kind of, it's weird because nobody's kind of told me that, Thomas, you're using those items way too much, you need to stop it. But I kind of just feel guilty because I feel like I'm just, I don't know what, it's really weird feeling guilt when it comes to builds. I know a lot of builders are the same when they use the same items over and over again. But sometimes it's just, you just want to build with stuff that you really like. And for me, those are the Cats and Dogs windows. I don't know what it is. Well, actually, I do know what it is about them. It's just that they have, you know, really nice, simple design, but also as well, they work really well with a whole bunch of curtains. You know, they work with some base game ones, the Cats and Dogs ones, and the Seasons ones really nicely. And also as well, compared to the Seasons ones, which are fairly similar in terms of design, the Cats and Dogs ones clip so well to the walls. The Seasons ones don't clip like in a nice position. It's always really too high or too low. You have to kind of move it off the grid and move it yourself with the Seasons windows, I've found. So I always tend to go for the Cats and Dogs ones just out of not even having to think about it. I just end up doing it. But I do have some other builds coming up. I can't exactly remember which ones, but because I'm recording this in advance a little bit, for no reason, just to kind of, I just like to have some videos done in advance, just so I'm kind of not so pressured, I suppose. So anyway, it means that at this point I don't really know when this is going up. Sometime I'm recording the voiceover though on the 13th for reference though. And yeah, so I do have one more build at least that I've been working on today, which uses the Seasons windows, which I know I was just kind of going on about how I don't like those, but I thought, you know what, I haven't used them in a while, let's go ahead and use them today. So that's what I've got an upcoming build. I've also used some of the modern base game ones as well, which may have been the last video. I can't exactly remember because again it isn't up for me yet, but you know what, I'm just gonna let you see it when it comes out. Anyway, so we're just working on the living room area here, as you can see, and the living room area kind of takes up this whole kind of side section of the house. You could talk too fast. I guess you could call it the bit that doesn't have the upstairs on it. It kind of runs down the whole like left of the house and it comes out a little bit. But the strange thing about it though is that, like, well, it's not really strange, it's just that the front door, as you can see there, just in the bottom right, is on this, like, pop-out bit of the house, and it looks a little bit weird. I've never really kind of done it that way before. I'd normally have, like, the, you know, the front door where that little seat is on the porchway, like, facing towards the back of the house, if that makes sense, not to the side of it. I don't know, it's just a minor thing I've looked at and was like, this is a little bit strange, but it's not really a big deal. Anyway, so we're just working on one of the bedrooms here, and this is the one that I was talking about, which has just a single bed. I don't know if we've done the one yet, which is the other single room, but there is two of them, like I said anyway. I always tend to forget when I'm like talking about other stuff in the voiceover, and I kind of forgot what we've done so far in the build, so I literally cannot remember what we've done, just apart from that living room. We've just done that single bedroom, now working on the gym. I don't know if we've done we've done the kitchen. Yeah, I just had to keep thinking back of what we've done and what we haven't. Anyway, so this is the gym area here. So this kind of takes up a little bit of the garage area, which I normally do anyway for most of my speed builds, as the garage always turns into the gym. It's just kind of a good use of the space, because there isn't really any practicality for them in game. The thing is though, is that normally the garages are separate from the house. That's what I tend to do for speed builds. So with the floor plan and having to incorporate the garage, and there's two of them, the garages are like really small, so it's not like you could fit a car in them or anything. But I guess you could just go along with the storyline, like the people who've moved in here, maybe done a little bit of renovation work and kind of changed the garages into a little bit smaller rooms, but two practical ones, because the other garage is the laundry room, which again, I don't know if I've worked on yet, but there's a screenshot of it at the end. I do think I included it in the footage though. It might have already been in the footage, but like I said just before, I've literally forgotten everything that happened in the last 5 minutes. Anyway, so this room right here is the dining room, a little bit more of a formal room. What sometimes I do is though, in these homes that have the space for it, is I normally do the kitchen with like a little family sort of dining table, and then there's kind of like an archway going through into the main dining room, which has like, you know, a little bar area, a bigger dining table, and sometimes a piano as well. Because I feel like that kind of just adds nicely to the feel of it being a more formal dining room, but isn't always the space for that though. And yes, so this room here is that single bed that the single room that we're just working on with the single bed, and that was the second of those. So like I said, maybe it could be for a teen, it could just be for a kid or something, or maybe like a pretend pre-teen, I suppose. And yeah, so we're just finishing off here by working a little bit more on the landscaping, putting these garage roof ramp things back in, because when I was placing some walls down, those were deleting, so I had to move them away from the house. So I went back there. I don't know why I was doing that though. I just went back and put them in, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to leave it here with the screenshots. I really hope you enjoyed. In the comment section down below, let me know about what you thought of this build. If you have any more suggestions for builds or mansions or anything you want to see next, that would be really, really helpful to hear. Leave a like, share and subscribe if you haven't, and once again, you can go ahead and download this home from the gallery. My origin ID is real ThomasTV1, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!